Welcome back to Cultivated Conversations. Today I'm joined by my friend Ezeh to talk about the evolution of talent partnerships and the importance of relationships. We talk about his career path from CAA to ABG to Rock Nation and now at WME, and why specificity and niche communities win. We also talk a bit about AI and why it's an important tool, but not necessarily a replacement. And IK drops some amazing career advice. So let's get into it. IK?
Hey.
Welcome to Cultivated Conversations. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is great, honestly.
We've known each other for quite a long time.
Go way back.
How many years?
I mean, origin story. So this is I'm guessing 2012, 2013 when we were both assistants.
Yep.
Yeah, in New York. That was a long time ago.
I mean, we've obviously both just turned 25. So,
yeah.
A
few times.
And now here we are. You know, you're a partner at WME. I'm running my business. We both have beautiful families. Yeah. It's been really amazing to watch you just grow and kick ass and all the incredible things you're doing. So let's get to know you. So introduce yourself and give us, sort of a couple lines about who you are and what you do.
I grew up in Massachusetts. My parents from Nigeria, so kind of came into it and didn't really have any real connection to things. That culture is usually education, lawyer, doctor, engineer, that type of thing. So, I played football in college, did all that, went to school in Massachusetts where I grew up. I knew I wasn't going to play on Sundays, so I went to law school after. And I just kind of realized pretty quickly after maybe my first year that I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So I finished, took the bar in New York, did that whole thing. But my last semester, I did a visiting student in New York, in New York law. So I did kind of an externship at Gersh. Mm-hmm. And so while I was there, it's just, I kind of started to see how the inner workings of entertainment, how it worked, lots of castings and just getting a sense of that, so that was kind of the dream then can you marry that education that you've already, worked hard and got with this, real life experience in entertainment. So I did that. That ended me up at CAA as, floater. I started out there and then started on the sports side. I think that's when we met.
That's where we met, yeah.
Yeah, so I was there for 2.5 years and really master's degree MBA in the business of entertainment, right? Sports, music, film, TV, digital, all those things. So, I was there for a while, ended up going to Authentic Brands Group after. So left entertainment specifically for a little bit, but started to get into their sports and entertainment stuff. Yep. A lot of celebrity estates and things of that nature, which led me to Rock Nation. I was there for another 2 years. And that really pivoted me because I'd been so heavily in sports before. Yeah. That had me doing sports and music. Mm-hmm. And then so when I was there, started to do a lot more in the music space. Yeah. And this was all happening in New York. I was there for 2 years, still talking to the folks at ABG. We're all in the same building. Yep. And then the conversation wanted to move out west. They were opening a West Coast office, so went back, was doing more of that. Was there for another 1.5, 2 years, and then left, started my own thing, started to practice law a little bit.
I remember this.
Yeah. I was doing some business affairs for a producer, songwriter management company. And then, during the pandemic, I had some relationships with people at WME. They had just been going through some stuff, some reorging, things of that nature. And that was October of 2020. And so I just hit my 5-year there first.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So that was long-winded and winding, but, I would never trade my experience, even though it wasn't a direct path, because what it really did was give me insight into all kind of different sides of the business, right?
I think that's the thing that makes you the most successful. Anyone successful is you have all these different experiences and all these different insights.
Sure.
I mean, I feel the same about my career, honestly. I think I'm really good at certain things because I'd been exposed to them in a way that other people who do what I do, maybe haven't,
Yeah, it's more peripheral, right? You see people, you have the right conversations. Yeah. Enough to be dangerous, but I think the actual doing of it really, really changes things pretty significantly because you can step in other folks' shoes, and then that just makes for, I think, a more fertile ground for you to do work with those people who are still working in those capacities.
Totally. And so now you're a partner at WME and you do global brand partnerships. So talk, what is that exactly?
The idea of endorsements and partnerships have just like really evolved over the years. It used to be like this dirty thing where, if you were an A-list actor or actress or director, it was like something that like brand partnership people, it's like you go and do like, a watch deal in Tokyo and it's never seen by anyone.
Yeah.
And I think over time it just, people started to get like really good with the creative and things around there, and brands start to have a little bit more of a personhood. So over the years, that's really started to become something that talent maybe leans into sometimes, so that they don't have to make choices in their regular day-to-day work that are so driven by money, right? It's like, if I do this brand partnership, maybe I don't have to take this movie, I can do this indie. Or I, don't have to tour or whatever have you. So it's become really just like a spoke to the wheel of their whole entire kind of, business artist life. So the way that we look at it, we're a little bit different than some of the other agencies where people tend to be a little bit more segmented, where it's, if you do music partnerships, that's what you do. Film and TV, that's what you do. Sports, that's what you do. We all have our specializations at WME, but everyone kind of does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So you have multiple people across multiple different disciplines on each client that the company has. So everything is done by committee. It helps us not have people slip through the cracks. And then you also get really interesting views on the marketplace. Are brands looking at musicians differently than they're looking at digital influencers? And I think that gives us just like a lot of insights and touch points and data points in order to try and get our clients the best deals.
What do you think is the piece of your work that really gets you going, right? Because I think there's pieces of our everydays that just light us up, and then there's pieces not so much. But what are the pieces that really light you up?
I would say it's two things. I think one is just when you have like a really, really amazing piece of creative, and that's usually when it's like funny.
Yeah.
It's like when you see something come together and you see it on the script and you're like, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then you see it shot, and then when, it comes off the editing room floor and it's like, this is actually really funny. And then you see it on Instagram or on TV and you kind of like hit your friends and you're like, I did that, right?
Yeah,
it's like that. And then I think the idea of just like, we had this boom of celebrity entrepreneurship, right? These ventures and things coming together. For me, it's really exciting to see when those things come together internally and they work. And then also it's really fulfilling to me to like help sometimes like disabuse people of like, that's probably not a great idea.
Sure.
That might be a passion project or something that we do as a little capsule.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a sustainable business.
Sure.
And I think over time people appreciate that because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of have to treat that as a second job. So I think things in and around the venture space and like growing businesses. Yeah. And then just seeing like really snappy creative come to life and like, what it looked like when it was getting shot. And then you see the finished product and it's like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the, that idea of business ventures, right? Because I'm curious your thoughts and foresight on just where we stand in this current moment on talent brand partnerships, right? Because it's, to your point, back in the day, it's like, you fly to Tokyo, no one ever sees this watch ad.
Sure.
And then it's been a really sexy few years where it's just brand deal after brand deal after brand deal.
Yeah.
And now at least what I'm hearing is, sure, I'll take your 50 grand or your 60 grand or your 5 million, but actually what I want is a bigger piece of the pie, a part of the equity, or, let's build something together. So I'd love for you to just, share some insights on that side of it.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting because it had this effect where you would see these incredible exits that people were having on a liquor company or a tequila company or skincare or makeup or whatever it is, that would start to make a couple $1 million look like chump change to people because they saw what other people got. And they're like, well, I could do that, but I'm kind of trading my fan base in this, these eyeballs that I've cultivated, no pun intended.
Great word.
Yeah. See, I slipped that in there, that I've done here. And it's kind of this idea. It's like, well, if they're paying me that, then maybe, depending on the category, maybe I have enough juice to kind of maybe do something on my own and see if this can grow. If I can find the right operators, can find the right product market fit, like, can I do that? And, it's an imprecise science, right? Yeah. It's like some of the people that you would think are the biggest stars in the world tried and hasn't worked out. And other people that you think they're like, yeah, maybe. Yeah. It's been gangbusters. Yeah. So, there's a lot of different elements that get into it and putting these pieces together. And, the marketplace got really, really crowded really quickly.
Yeah.
But there's still space, right? And I think it's just, I think specificity is really winning the day.
Yeah.
Just kind of like residing in the wake of this latest trend isn't really getting it anymore.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
And we have a very fractured marketplace and landscape. So I think you have to kind of focus on maybe these micro communities or regional or whatever it is, and get really, really evangelical fans and consumers, and then work that and watch how that expands versus starting really, really broad and being like, I'm going to take on X category generally, right?
Yeah.
I think it's getting really specific, and that's where we have to have a lot of the conversations before we hit go on anything.
Yeah. That's interesting too, because I think that's where people are seeing success in general, like in social media followings and stuff, right? It's like you find your fans, your little niche, and then it kind of spirals from there, A question I'm so curious to ask you is about measuring talent value. Because if we're working together, right, it's like I'm the one who's presenting this offer to you, right? And I think, we're having an honest conversation about it with each other. But it's like, there isn't some book out there that says, Joe Schmo is worth $5 million, right?
Yeah.
And so I love, a lot of times people say, oh, well, what's their social following? But then it's like, okay, that's just a number. What does the engagement look? Anyways, I'm so curious, your thoughts on this whole concept.
Yeah, it's just like, no two deals are the same, right? Even if it's the same deliverables, it's the same term, everything on paper is the same, it just lands differently with two different talent.
Yeah.
So you can't really compare any of those two deals together. Yeah. I mean, you take all the things that you do know, your data points, you look at category, you look at what's the opportunity cost, right? It's like, if I do this in footwear, is another footwear, company going to come to me 2 months after this term is up? So you just have to start looking at what are these big categories, what are the my most viable places to make the most money for my client. And then once you have that, I think you can start to really start to mix and match and compare and contrast of what and then you also just, I think on the front end, you just have really honest conversations with your client and their managers or representation, whatever it is, to make sure that we're all kind of singing from the same sheet of music. Whereas that I'm not negotiating on their behalf before they know what's going on, so that, because you're managing relationships all over the place. I don't want to go back to a buyer or a brand and tell them that, Talent X is going to do something for one price. And then I go back to Talent X and they're like, yeah, it's cool, but
I need 5 times
it's going to be Y. Now, nobody's expectations have been managed, and I'm the one in the middle who's
and that trust, like you said, right, is I mean, maybe not broken, but depending on who it is, you could call me and say, I'm so sorry, Jen, I spoke to the client and some things have changed. This is what we need now. But it's not always that case.
Right. And I think that's where it's very hard to get in trouble when you're transparent. And you just do the right things out of the gate.
Yeah.
Because if I come to you and I'm like, yeah, this person that you're talking about, they're really expensive. And I go and talk to them and they're like, yeah, I would do it, but it's going to be this. I'd rather have that conversation with you so we can figure out, maybe you go find that or we talk about somebody else.
Yeah.
But at least then we are all kind of talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I've led you on a path and then this person thinks that something is coming and then it gets back to you or them that this happened. It's just that's a good way to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it's great. And I think a lot of because I mean, you and I aren't the fresh generation anymore.
It's crazy, right?
I know
that
is.
Happens.
I know it. And you don't even realize that it happens,
you definitely do
right?
Yeah.
Feels like just yesterday we're all out every single night drinking way too much and having hangover bagels in the CAA office in the morning. But I think that I've realized that with age and relationships, just how important they are, right? And I think that's just one of the things for the kids coming up. It's your people are everything.
Yeah.
That person on the other side of that email, that person on the other side of that text message, pick up the phone and get to know them.
I could not possibly agree with you more. And it's not just in these transactions, right? It's just, it's all over the place.
In life. Yeah.
It's the assistants that work there. It's, your other colleagues, right, that you're going to kind of grow with, and then you might
your
stay
class.
the course.
I call it
Your class, right?
Yeah.
Because they might go.
You're in my class, by the way.
We're in the same
yeah,
class.
We're in the same
right?
class.
And like,
yeah.
this is exactly what we're talking about, where you keep these relationships warm, not in any like, fake kind of saccharine way, but like you actually care about people and you're just like a good mammal. And like these things end up having, like they turn into things, right? So it's like, when you maintain those relationships with people, you don't have to start from scratch every single time, right? Because you might not be doing anything that has anything to do with brands or any of those things, but we have a great conversation, and you might know someone who's in that space, or your husband or your cousin might work at Coke or Nike or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like, that's how you get to it. We can run the risk of it being too formulaic. It's like, well, I know this person. I'm going to go to this place. I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit them with this, and I'm going to send our roster. It's like, like, use your best asset, which is like you and your personality and why people like you in your personal and everyday life, and figure out how to like imbue your work with that. And that usually ends up, turning into positive things, whether that's a deal in business and commerce or just a great relationship, which is like worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so then on the flip side of that, let's talk about something that has grown immensely in all industries, but that's AI. And I know we've talked about this a bit before, but to set it up for context, what I do, talent booking and producing, the human to human connection, picking up the phone and calling you and making a deal. There's platforms that these brands sign up for, and they basically say, I want a 40-something-year-old Black female who's passionate about makeup, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so specific. Yeah. My joke is always like the left-handed lesbian in Louisiana, right? It's like you can be so specific, and then it's all this like, it's AI digging through shit, finding like exactly what you're looking for, and then helping you do that deal, which is crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And so I think there's pieces of it, and you said something to me. AI is not going to take over our jobs. The people who understand AI are going to take over our jobs,
which I can't claim as my own. Okay. I heard someone else. I heard someone else say it, and it was brilliant. And I just, so I stole it for the moment. But thanks for exposing me here. No, and I think that's exactly right. Yeah. It is a tool, and there's nothing that anyone can do. We can lock arms and have, a picket line. It's not going to stop it. It's here to stay. It's already here, and it's just going to continue to grow and evolve and all those things. And I think one thing I will say is that. And I end up talking to a lot of young people about this at work, is that there's so much of our job that is problem solving, right? It's like all of that on the front end, and figuring out like the specifics of that really, really narrowly tailored person that you want for this campaign is great. And there's people who do that now, who can like have lists, and we have software to do that, or AI can do it. But like, that is just the tip of the iceberg. I think actually making this work, getting to the deal points, understanding the when of how to approach someone with, like a mutation of the deal, or, a zig or a zag, when you get on set and doing these things, and like, there's just personalities that come into play to keep things on the rails, because I can't tell you how many deals are fighting to die all the time. And,
I know.
And you obviously, and we just always find ways, because we can kind of like, you can kind of feel it, right? It's like you're on like a bike, and it's like, when it starts to teeter one way, you just know naturally how to like bend your, gravity back to keep yourself upright. And I think that's what happens with deals a lot. I don't know if on the horizon AI is going to be able to solve something like that. I don't know. I hope not.
Yeah,
but I think that's such a big part of it. But back to the AI thing, there's tools, and I think we're just really trying to find all the use cases for it right now. It's like everyone's like, all right, well, I use it, AI. It's like, let me go and put my life into ChatGPT and have it spit out.
Yeah.
I think that there's other things that are happening that are like way more sophisticated, and but like you need use cases for people to understand, like, how is this going to make my life maybe not easier, but just more efficient? How do I do this to supercharge what I already know? What are the things that cause consternation on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some software out there that can help move those out so I can focus more on my brain power and,
Yeah.
relationships
Yeah.
and getting to, dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Ways and I think even going back to, I had asked you about what do you love about the job, and then there's things that we don't. I mean, for me, it's just it's the volume of emails.
Sure.
It's the, and I do think that, wow, if there was something that could kind of sort all that shit, not that it's shit.
Yeah.
I love my emails. Please keep emailing.
Yeah. Don't stop.
Don't stop. Please keep it coming.
Right.
But that's that, because that's what takes away from that creative space, right? Just the blank space to actually work.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. But I also think about it as like there's so much that happens from like these things we don't like doing. Right?
No, 100%.
We learned so much balancing all the things that we hate doing with the stuff that's actually like, the good part.
Yeah, I agree.
And that like really helps round out our edges and make us the kind of, the business executives that you end up being, you are, right? And so I worry sometimes. It's like I have, kids in school. I have a term paper to write. It's like, all right, well, ChatGPT can get me 90% of the way there. It's like, well, you haven't learned anything then, have you? Like having to sit there and arrange your thoughts to put it together. It's like sometimes the only way like out is through. Yeah, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And like you kind of have to go through those things. So again, it's a tool, but it can't be a full replacement for your human experience because you won't have anything to pull from. It's like, I think people who are young in our industry, in the entertainment industry, when they're growing, it's like you can know how to do all things. There's people you can put on the phone right now and they can just crank deals. They can do it. But if you haven't seen certain issues and things come up, like experience is a great teacher because you won't know how to deal with a very specific issue that comes up. And I think you need enough inputs for you to like synthesize, like this is probably the right way for me to handle this.
Agree.
And if you skip all those steps, then you're guessing and it's like people don't want to talk to, an automated system on the end of the phone. They want to know someone that hears them, takes a beat, thinks about it, and is like, this is the best course of action for us to get back to like, okay.
Yep.
And I think you lose that sometimes if you just rely so heavily on a software, which is not it's not either or, right? This is not a binary conversation.
It's a world where they're like melded
That's
together.
Exactly right. So, and it's going to take time, and I think it's going to take a lot of hiccups, things blowing up in people's faces. That's like just like socially and what happens to humans, as well as like legally, right? Yeah. Like I think things have to rub up against issues in order for people to like crystallize what the law and legalities and like policies around some of the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think there's, beyond just the tools and sort of, those types of things, like just the in the larger industry, I mean, even the strikes, like AI was such a part of it.
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, speaking of the larger industry, you really do work across so many things. So I know you're tapped in, but, not saying you have a crystal ball, but obviously it's been a hell of a few years for the larger industry, right? And like, what are you feeling in terms of what does the next year look like? What does the future look like? Like, what are the vibes out there?
I think
deep sigh.
Yeah,
that was a deep sigh.
It's like, and that sigh is not necessarily from like a doom and gloom place.
Yeah.
I think it's more because it's it's hard to like place bets on anything anymore. Things are just happening, right? Yeah. And what I do see, which is encouraging, is I think institutions are really like hyper focused on protection of people and livelihoods and things of that nature. Yeah. Things are coming out around new, technology that's coming out, protecting rights. Yeah. Right. And then we're the whole idea of production and physical production and all those people. I think people are really thinking about how do we save these things so it's not just generated computer. That's like an entire industry of people that that are having their livelihoods threatened. So I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how it works, but it is encouraging to see that people aren't they don't have like this dispassionate like bloodthirst for efficiency, right? Yeah. I think that people are sitting there and saying, hold on, wait. Like there are systems on top of systems here. Yeah. And this whole business starts to feel different if we don't do what we can to try and figure this out and like take a look at what's happening.
Yeah.
Can we slow things down to a point where we can figure out what the horizon looks like?
Yeah.
But other than that, I just don't know. Like, who knows?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
If someone knew now, they would be in. I'd want to be their friend.
I know, same.
Because
I'd want to be at a dinner party. With
them.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a strange time, like for a variety of things in our world.
Even in my business, right, which is like nine-ish, years.
Sure.
The very beginning of it was this just very, traditional entertainment, and over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, the brand side of it, right? And you even said, and I think that's a piece that has just been integrated into everything, right?
Sure.
Even, the studios, like the way that traditional brand models and commercials used to, it's like now it's just direct integration into things. And even the way that we're looking at like talent deals with brands, it's not just, hey, let's have someone be this face or in a commercial. It's, okay, well, why don't we get our brand into their show?
Sure.
I think the sector that you're in is not going anywhere. In fact, I think it's like it is only going to continue to be like the leader of the industry, because that's where follow the money. That's where the money is, right?
Yeah, right. Because I think you get to this conversation around like content distribution, right? Yeah. Brands occupy so many kind of different social territories in people's lives, whether that's online or when you go and buy in your retail experience or whatever it is. And so you have all these different touch points that if you are doing short or longer form content, like you have a built-in kind of captive audience already. It's like, well, I'm this brand, I have millions of fans, people are buying my stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Do I now have permission to go out and like tell other stories that are more than just long commercials for me? Do I have that permission? If I do, can I use all this, momentum that I have with consumers and eyeballs and all those things? And can I go and make the right deal and be at the right place to distribute this? So, I think that conversation, because we've just seen a lot of contraction, right? And there's not as many buyers out there for different things. There was like, it's like we were all at home during the pandemic, and everyone was like, we got to watch stuff. So everyone was doing stuff, making stuff, putting stuff out. And then I think when that shrinks back down the way that things do, the landscape, and I'm not an expert on any of this, is not like my core.
No, this is all your opinion, but it's, you're when you live it every day.
Yeah. I think brands are just in a really interesting place right
too.
now.
Yeah.
And what, again, is encouraging is I'm seeing more and more people not knowing what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
And not just guessing and not just thinking that they can tell the marketplace how to move and where to watch things and how to watch them and all the. I think those days are kind of bygone. So I think it's a lot of conversation with people who are in it to day to day, trying to get educated about it, partnering with the right people, and sometimes saying, kind of like one for me, one for you. It's, we have this campaign. We need you to do these things. You got to read these lines. We have to have you do that. However, what do you have going on? Right? Do you have a festival performance? Do you have a tour? Is there ways that we can integrate? Do you have physical product? Like all those different things out there. Is there ways that we can come into your ecosystem in a meaningful way that helps us tell our story? Can we find like an overlap, right? If we draw a Venn diagram, like what's in the middle of messaging? Can we do something in that space? I think when brands can kind of like be there but get out of the way a little bit, but then they figure out how to tie it all together, that just starts to feel more like they're like like a living, breathing organism versus like an overlord that's just being like, I need my 30-second spot.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's instead of saying I need, 18 logos or I need you to mention the brand name or, I think the more creative freedom, having it be a partnership with talent, right? Because I think that's where I see deals fall apart the most, or really just be the most gruesome to get through, is when the brand's like, no, we're cool, we want this talent because we want it to be their thing, and then cut to, and the brand's like, well, no, we need 18 social deliverables 100%. And like, I don't like that caption, and they need a different photo. We can't see our logo in the and it's like, but that you're missing the point. Like the viewers and the audience are smart. They don't need to see Coca-Cola, whatever it is, like right in the front to know, Oh yeah, like
That's exactly right.
that's a Coca-Cola in the background, and I'm not referring to Coca-Cola. It was just an example, but
We love you guys.
we love you, Coca-Cola. Give me a call. Yeah. Anyways, it's really really fascinating.
Yeah, and again, it's just like everything's a frontier right now,
Yeah.
right? Because we don't know how they're gonna behave anymore. We used to, because we used to tell them what to do. And I say we, I mean, studios and brands, is
Yeah.
because the platforms for them to voice their opinions on things weren't really there.
Mm-hmm.
So now, there's movements of people constantly, especially in the digital world. So we don't know anymore.
Yeah.
So we have to the best of our ability, listen to the marketplace, figure out where people are at, and do things. Still have integrity and still have a point of view, whether it's putting out a movie or TV show or content online or brand messaging.
Yeah.
You have your constitution, but you gotta kind of have to deal with the people who have the power, which is the consumer now and the fan base. So I think everyone has to be a little bit more flexible and understand that we're all kind of in this
together
ecosystem together, and we're all figuring it all out right in real time.
Is there a piece of advice that either someone's given you or you would give to younger IK?
It's gonna sound like I've thought about this and it's like a rehearsed answer.
Okay.
but I swear to you, it really is. I think so long as you are very clear on what's expected of you, do that well. That's table stakes, right? It's like, do the job as you're earlier in your career or any stage of your career.
Yeah.
But if you can find a way to create relationships with people and then just think about how you can be additive to other people's lives and careers and their business, it makes it impossible to lose. I really do think it makes it impossible to lose, because I think so many people are worried about, it's like, well, this is cutthroat, or people are like, you can't worry about that. That's always going to be there for people. But those by and large are outliers. I think if you can focus, and this is not just people who can help your career. It's not like, well, I have this boss or there's a partner here or someone who's been doing this for a long time. Can I figure out how to help their business? Sure. But I'm talking about, the people that work for you, right? Like coordinators or, people who are first year agents, assistants. If you can just sit there, and it's not easy, right? Because we're so spread for time, right? And I just think that if you can lend people your time, and when you give them your time, give them your time. Like, it's not worth it to say, let's put 15 minutes on my calendar and be on the phone or looking out the window. It's like, if you're in 15 minutes, give them those 15 minutes and devote it to them. Because that just doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
I think if you do that, the momentum and what that puts out there in the marketplace, and this is not cosmic, I'm not talking about, it just has a way of bending back where people tend to remember how that felt. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you have someone talking about you and talking about that experience in a room you're not in. You have no idea who they're talking to.
It's the butterfly or the ripple effect or whatever it is.
That type of, I think, behavior.
It's like a vibration.
It'll reverberate. And the best thing that can happen is before you get back to dealing with anyone down the road, it's like in this very circuitous way, it's come back and they've heard some cool anecdote about you before you sit across the table with them. Yeah. And again, that might sound like it feels like fairy tale or so neat. No. But I've just found that tends to happen, right? These worlds and these, places that we find ourselves in, they're smaller than we think.
Yeah, they are. They're so small.
And so that would be my thing. It's just you gotta kind of, it's like on an airplane, it's secure your mask before you help anyone else with theirs. So make sure you're good and you're doing all the right things. Yeah. But if I had to tell my younger self, it's don't be so laser focused on your own scoreboard while you're missing all of these other places, to not just be cool to people. It's get to know someone, right? And have that conversation with them and keep doing it, right? It's the thing. It's not just hey, when I'm young and I have a little bit more time, let me do that. Yeah. Now that I'm older, I have no time. I think you have to kind of keep doing that as a principle to a variety of different people, up, down, sideways, all those different things. I think it makes a world of difference.
That's really beautiful. It really is. We forget. Yeah. We do. We get lazy, and
it's easy to forget.
It is, and I think to your point, the older you get and the busier you get, the more stakes there are in your day-to-day career and life in general. It's you kind of find yourself thinking about time in a different way. But
1000%.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. What is the project or the deal or the moment that you are most proud of?
I think, when I was at Authentic Brands Group, I worked on the Muhammad Ali business.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're in this business long enough, you kind of meet your quote unquote heroes, people you always looked up
Yeah.
to. And he was at, an advanced stage of Parkinson's later on in his life when I met him.
Mm-hmm.
But just being able to work on his business was really, really,
Mm.
I think, just life changing for me because I
Yeah.
had to become somewhat of a historian on it. It's like
Yeah.
all of these things that he did and just like all of the social ramifications and just who he was as someone just growing up trying to find your footing as someone who has their own personal constitution. I think being within that world and learning about that was the most groundbreaking things. And then being able to do cool things
Mm-hmm.
with his brand and his IP that also honored him, that
Yeah.
were great for his family. That was really, really gratifying.
Love that.
So I know that wasn't a direct thing,
No,
but
that's
like
amazing.
that was the most, because it's I say this with respect. There's so many amazing people I've had the chance to work with, but it's not often that you work with like truly
A hero.
historical one-of-one people,
Yeah.
right? And I had the honor of doing so, and that
Yeah.
was pretty paradigm shifting for me.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, IK, thank you so much
Thank you for
coming
having me.
and just sharing your story and your advice.
Being able to have these conversations
Yeah.
with people that have similar just kind of life stage and experience,
Yeah.
and us being able to just talk through stuff
Totally.
is really, really helpful. We're all so busy. We're
I
all
know.
moving
I know.
1,000 miles a minute.
Sometimes, you don't get to reflect on
Yeah.
all of it, right? So it's
Yeah.
like just to take a pause and actually have it's like you realize all the stuff that you know. Or,
Yeah.
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 And at the end of the day, it's like I could be totally full of shit, but this is just
That's your experience.
But that's exactly
Mhm.
right. And so their opinions at the end of the day, I try to tether them to as much things that I know, things that have happened or are happening. But you do the best you can, right?
Yeah.
And I think you let the chips fall when you do that. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I'm really, really excited for what you've built. This is so cool.
Thank
and the
you.
business and having this platform. It's just it's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You. And thank you for being here for another episode of Cultivated Conversations. Don't forget to send us an email. Say hi at cultivatedent.com. We want to hear from you. Tell us what you love about IK and all the guests that we've had on recently. And don't forget to follow us at Cultivated Entertainment. Until next time.